been lied to about a lot of things. Like we all know that, right? I mean, we know that we've been lied to about JFK, MLK, Malcolm X, Vietnam War, reasons for World War One and Two. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things that we just know we've been lied to about. Yeah, pretty much everything. And some of the things most people don't even realize what we have been lied to about, or to where to see or notice things where it's a possibility that we could have been lied to. And what I really promote out here with all of us is how to use our critical mind. How do we look at things to determine what is the most likelihood of something being true or not? And then how do we dig and find out what is the truth? How do we surround ourselves with good quality people that we like, that we know that are going to help each other out? If anybody's in a bind, how do we help them? Especially if they're good people. I mean, you can't always help people that they just want to use you and abuse you. You got to stop that. But you feel what I'm getting at. And I'm going to tell you some of these things that are really interesting to me. How many people would you think in China know about Tiananmen Square? Yeah, not many. And if y'all are the younger guys, if y'all don't know what Tiananmen Square was, there was a lot of guys that during the late 80s, young guys like y'all, they were protesting against the government out of this big open air government plaza. And the government decides they're just going to kill them. And they really don't know how many, hundreds to thousands of them. But you ask people in China about it, they don't know. The Chinese scrubbed that information from their internet. They scrubbed it from their textbooks. They scrubbed it from everything. So if a massive country, I mean, they have about 1.3, 1.4 billion people, and we have a little bit over 300 million. If big China can do that, what can our country do with our information? We're not any different, is what I'm getting at. Oh, and I do want to thank everybody. Y'all have really been buying our books like a lot, and our children's books have just started coming out. And I just want to say thanks before I got too far into that. And I really find it interesting that if y'all watch, I really like to watch travel stuff. There's a bunch of really good YouTube guys and girls and couples, they travel the world. Like they remind me of like young Megans, like just running around with their cameras with Paris in the background, or like oh. But I was watching some Americans go through China and see all these big Mao statues, and the Chinese were all there praising and loving Mao. And none of them knew that he had killed, on the low side, estimates of 45 million people and upwards of 80 million people. They just didn't know. They thought he was a great guy. And they still have his big pictures and statues everywhere. Like, that is scary to me, because I think, what do I not know? What do I not know about what I've been told to believe in here? It's a real issue. And what does that mean for my own soul? Like, what does it mean for my own internal growth? Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. I don't know. I used to hear this when I was a kid. Those ragheads. I remember the first. Y'all remember when George Bush Sr. was bombing Iraq? I heard this a lot from guys that were older than me. Oh, those dumb ragheads! They've been over there stupid. They've been firing at each other forever. They're always going to be killing. But one thing those guys, those older guys that were telling me that, one in particular was my stepdad, which I thought was funny. They invented algebra, the algorithm, that whole concept that what we use in our computers now is what they came up with. Trigonometry, modern day hospitals, the optics, how our eyes see and use light. And a woman created the first degree granting university in the world, and it's still in existence today. It's pretty cool. Like, that's just cool. They're the first ones to brew coffee, start massive mechanical engineering. They invented the flying machines. Y'all have all seen the pictures of Leonardo da Vinci, and he'd strap somebody onto a wing and he'd pull them with a horse or something. Like they just did that. But they did it in 859. That's half the time that Da Vinci did it, in the late 1400s or early 1500s. That's pretty amazing. Like, They invented the stern post rudders, kitchen ceramics. And that was all in Iraq. That was Mesopotamia. I don't remember ever being told that when I was a young kid about history. They kind of glossed over some of that stuff because there was an automatic separation. They're a different country than you. They're dangerous. Jill's experienced this as we've traveled the world. You get these warnings. Oh, hey, be careful. Central America, Guatemala is dangerous. Oh, be careful to going in this part of Europe. Oh, you're in danger. Man, it's never been the case. I remember I was kind of scared the first time I went to the Middle East. All my friends and family were like, man, be careful. You're going to get over there and get beheaded. You're going to die. I mean, there was a lot of that. I'm not joking. And I was like, and it kind of made me nervous. It's like, I don't know. I'm thinking, all right, well, I wouldn't go walk around certain places in Detroit or Chicago or parts of Dallas or parts of New Orleans, Shreveport, Monroe. I mean, I don't know. I can keep going on. And I'm thinking I'm going to try to do the same thing. I don't want to go in a bad area in the Middle East, right? I had the best time. I mean, they were the friendliest people, super welcoming. I mean, I don't agree with all their religious and state stuff, but I can love humanity. I can love those people that were nice to me. I want to be nice back. I put on my headgear stuff because I just wanted to dress like them. Got to just respect for their culture. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing, and my headgear's all screwed up. And they were always coming over and fixing it because I could never get it right. but it was fun. I don't think we make these snap judgments without knowing what we're even talking about. And I find this really, really interesting. I've been studying the Bible my whole life, my whole life. I can't tell you how many times I've read it and how many thousands of videos I've done on it. But I was never told growing up, never even realized it until my late 20s, that there are approximately 60 to 100 contemporary books of the Bible. 60 to 100. We don't know exactly how many. They're just referred to in other books. These were Gospels, and you don't have them. Like they just don't have them. 60 to 100 other books. And most people think, and I thought, and was told by my preachers and pastors and everybody else, that the Bible, is the direct word of God and that it was meant to be the Bible. Well, when you start reading the Bible, when you start to learn it, you realize it's just a bunch of letters and books written by different guys, and the Catholic Church put it together in one canon, and then they purposely excluded countless books, which I found interesting. Then to me, I'm like, well, what's the truth? What do I believe? Because some of these books contradict each other, like the Gospel of Mary, I find incredibly interesting because she preached salvation within. And it was a big conflict because she was a woman, and there was a big conflict with her and Peter, and that's all recorded in a contemporary way. So what's true? I don't know. And you have a lot of the Gnostic Gospels that are in existence, and there are a lot of them. I can't remember. I think there's 55 of them that still exist today that you can read.
Epistles?
No, the Gnostic Gospels that have been found. They're fascinating. There are other books of the Bible. Many of them were excluded.
80 something.
It's just interesting to me. And I always thought, too, that speaking of lies that we believe, that there were still, like the original Bibles, the original stuff. They don't exist. Like, there are no original Bibles. There's no original work. It does not exist. It just doesn't. The oldest things we have are the Codex Sinaiticus and the Codex Vaticanus, but they're in the 4th century. They're old. They're old copies. Old copies. The only thing we have is Isaiah. Isaiah, that was found recently, when were the Dead Sea Scrolls discovered? In the 40s or 60s? 40s, yeah. And they just happened to find them. Kids throwing rocks and broke some vases in a cave. I mean, that's crazy. So Isaiah is the only one, and that's not even an original. That's a copy of a copy. It's just interesting. So what did the originals actually say? Nobody knows. It's all a guess. And to say, I was really confused whenever my preachers would tell me this is what Jesus said, and then you find out that there's debates whether or not Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were written in between 50 to 150, in some cases 200 years after his death. I'm thinking, there are a lot of cool people that could say some really cool stuff, really awesome gurus, prophets. And I really love my mom. When I be able to write down exactly what my mom said to me when I was a kid growing up, I'm in my mid 50s. She told me some wise stuff 40 years ago. I'm about 100% sure I'm going to screw that up when I go write it down. It might be close. I might get the point across, but it's not going to be exact. It's just not. But I was led to believe those were exact words. And in fact, they're not, which left me kind of irritated at my teachers and pastors. I don't know. I have a fascination with old maps. We're going to be jumping around a bunch of topics today, and they're all going to tie in. These are North America. This is Urbano's map from 1587. If you don't know old maps, just go start Googling some, like from the 1000 to 1600s. They're just fascinating. On the right, this is North America. And I took a close-up picture of the book because of my camera on my phone. You just couldn't see it all, so I just put it up there. Show you tents, like, Native American Indians, where you would see them everywhere. But also all over North America and Central America and South America, there are walled cities. Like big, like these 600, 700-year-old maps that they're drawing massive cities with walls around them all over. Why were we never told about these cities? And why are they all on these maps? Like they're everywhere on these maps, and I don't know what the hell they are. No, and you can find traces of history in some old history books that I have that the contemporary people talk about these cities. I don't know what it means. Like why? I'm so confused. Why we would have Indians and big, huge castles with steeples on them, big, huge towers on every one of them. And if you look at the big map, these cities, they all have these like spires on them, almost like a cell tower. It's kind of weird. What is it? I don't know. But I do know Lewis and Clark never went to San Francisco in 1806 because they say they didn't. So I'm assuming they didn't. We didn't settle San Francisco until 1776, the year of our independence. Why in the hell is San Francisco on maps? This is a common occurrence in old maps, old maps, where cities have purportedly never been settled. We hadn't been there yet, but they're everywhere on these old maps. Like what? Like there's something missing in my mind of all of these things. Like what do we don't know? Why has this been kept from us? Why do these old maps exist, giving us clues? Why are there other clues in other gospels of the Bible? Why are there so much we don't know, but we form our opinions and basis on who and what we are on information that we don't know? It's weird to me. Like it's weird. I can't wrap my head around it. Have y'all ever seen a star fort? Y'all know where they are? Ryan does. They're everywhere. Wow. They're everywhere. And they're all built within this very short time frame. Like a real short time frame. About 100, 150 years. So that's just a few of Mario's lifetimes. How in the hell do they communicate how to build these things around the world? Like, how do they communicate how to build them? Like, that's my only question. I don't really care what they use them for. I mean, I don't know. They say it's for military. I have no clue. I don't even want to guess what it was for. Could have been that. Could have been something else. I don't know. My biggest question is, how do they know how to build it all at the same time, all around the world? How do you do that? Back in the, basically 1500s. It's weird. It's weird. How about this? These are the pyramids. We have a pyramid. I've grown up and lived here my whole life. One of the biggest pyramids in the world is in Monroe. It's just right down the street. How did all these people build these massive pyramids around the world? And I heard some archaeologist a couple of months ago say, oh, well, they're not exactly the same. They needed that kind of structure. I'm like, for what? And how do they know to do it? Like, what are we missing here as humanity? Like, there's something missing in our puzzle. And I don't know what it is. I'm hoping y'all will help me discover what it is. Like, these are pyramids. Me and Jill in Guatemala at one of these pyramids. There's exactly the same as the ones all over Central and South America. The other one totally covered up with trees or foliage of Bosnia. I mean, they're everywhere. You have them in China, and the narrative is it was an accident. They accidentally built them the same thousands and thousands of years ago. Like, really? I mean, it really is that the narrative? Like, are we supposed to be that stupid? Yeah, oh, we're that dumb. Have any of y'all heard of Göbekli Tepe?
Oh, yeah.
Well, this one strikes me as fascinating still because were y'all all told that our civilization before we were hunter, right after we got finished being hunter gatherers, it was about 5,000 years ago or so, plus or minus. That's what I was told whenever I was a kid. And, well, that's just not true. we know that for a fact now. Go back, this is in Turkey, and another one they believe is older than this, Koran Tepe. But whoever built these things, these are serious large structures with intricate artwork, and you had to be really talented to pull a lot of this off. But they backfilled that whole area. I mean, like it's a time capsule. Like they purposefully buried it all. I mean, who the hell builds this massive city and then says, you know what? Let's go ahead and cover it up. And this is not the weirdest part. Wow. The weirdest part is the World Economic Forum. It appears through all of their notes and emails and stuff that have been released. They stopped archaeology. They only dug out 5% of the area. And they said, hey, we have to stop. We're going to save it for future generations. The biggest discovery in mankind that totally rewrites history. We're going to go ahead and stop that, and then we're going to make a couple of driveways up it and pour concrete over the where we're going to dig. We're going to plant it with olive trees. Like, just the motive is absurd. There was such an outcry of small groups like us that they finally removed the newly planted olive trees, because the olive trees were obviously their roots were going to tear up stuff, and it prevented them from doing more work. Why would we tell the world we have a civilization that's 12,000 years old, but guess what? We're going to save it for our great grandkids to learn about. Like, that's weird. Like, that's really odd. I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand why you build this stuff around it where we don't know the truth. It's kind of like, why does the Catholic Church say when they formulated the Bible that don't read the Book of Mary? That's bad. Like, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with them saying, hey, you can't go see what's over there. I don't know why. This was found in the, what was it, the 60s? And we still put the same narrative in our school children's books for the past, God, I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but, that's 60 years. Like, what are we doing? Like, we really got really active in the early 90s figuring this stuff out. And that's still a long time. We still teach our kids something that's a lie. But where's our soul in saying, hey, all right, well, my kid, I send them off to school. They get to learn. They get to socialize. But where does it come to a play where we know the truth, that's the truth, and your kid comes home and says, hey, we were hunter-gatherers 5,000 years ago, but go back like Tepe, and you say, no, that's not true. What else do you have to be concerned about that you're not even aware of? And it's confusing to me. This is the weirdest shit. Excuse me. It's weird. I highly recommend everybody to go look at the buildings of the World's Fairs in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. Like we just said, whenever we're looking at those old maps and we see these big, huge cities and these walled cities, we are told that in this small span of time of about 30 years, we had these massive amounts of temporary structures that were built. Like a massive amount. Temporary structures out of many ton block bricks to build them. And they built that one in Chicago, and it mimics parts of the Vatican. And they did the same thing in Brazil. Those were all supposed to be temporary, and that kind of is weird because they say they tore them all down. And I've shown Jill this firsthand because they also did one in Nashville. And now they have the big temple, the Centennial Park in Nashville. And they left it. And the narrative is the same as all the rest of them. They were temporary buildings. But it's not. It's a solid concrete temple, like solid poured in place cement. Like the narrative doesn't match what the truth is. Why do we have these big, huge cities that just magically we invite the masses in and we tear them down? Were they there before is what I'm asking. I don't know. Like I have no idea. I wasn't there. I just know that their pictures still exist and their old maps that tell us stuff. And I don't know what the truth is. And that irritates me. I don't know. It's irritating. You know, something that really fascinates me is like, I used to do a lot of work in DC and travel a lot. And DC was really a cool place when I was a kid because you didn't have to go through all this security stuff to go into the Capitol and walk around, especially being a history buff like me. You just walk in. There would be a Barney Fife type cop there that, you'd have to walk through one of those old metal detectors, and they didn't care. Everybody was friendly. You're friendly. And you just got to explore. They would have these, like if you go to a fancy theater, they have a brass pole with a little red thing. Like that was their security gate to not go down like private halls inside the Capitol building. And it was nothing I stepped over them countless times because I just wanted to go walk the hallways. And everybody knew I wasn't supposed to be back there. And everybody was friendly. You would have congressmen's staff. I just opened their door and then they would say, well, this is a private hallway. And I said, yeah, but I'm just curious. And they said, oh, let me show you around. Like that's how friendly it was back then. There wasn't this attitude of everybody we're all so dangerous. It's very irritating. But anyway, when you walk up those stairs, now there's a big, huge visitor center. Like they tore out the whole back part. Like if we're there now looking at the Capitol, we'd be standing right by the Library of Congress. And on the right side, we'll be at the Supreme Court looking that direction. There's a whole nother building underneath that when they were digging it out. Like a whole nother building I remember seeing pictures of it as they're digging, and I'm going, what in the hell is that? It reminded me of all of the Catholic churches around the world, almost all of their massive basilicas and cathedrals being built on other churches, because that's a fact. It reminded me, like, was our Capitol built on another Capitol? Because that's exactly what it looks like. And I don't know. I don't have any answers. I just think it's weird that you'd have windows and big columns that were buried. Like, it's just weird. I don't know why no one asked any questions about it. And you can go, like, when we start going all over the world, Russia, all over the Americas, South Asia, Europe, when water pipes break, sewerage needs to be upgraded. Stuff happens, right? Well, they start digging it out and they discover everywhere. And I mean, almost every town in America. I was real happy that in Chattanooga, Tennessee, it started becoming on the local news. Like there are literal cities below everywhere. What the hell is that? Like just go look up Chattanooga, Tennessee and watch all the local news and they just make it a fun little story. Oh, look, Joe Blow discovers he had a basement. And then there's these big bricked up archways that are, and then all of a sudden the other neighbor, another neighbor, then they find tunnels and roadways and you're like, but that's everywhere. It's all over. You just go look up any major city in the United States. I was never told we had cities underneath our cities. And I don't know what it means. I don't know anything. I just think it's weird. Like, why were we never taught? Why don't we just talk about it? I'd like to go walk around down there and see maybe. I don't know. It might be nasty. It might stink. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know what happened. These are the buildings that were supposed to be temporary that we built in that time period. St. Louis up there at the top left. These are massive stone cities. that we still have pictures of, and they're harder and harder to find every day. Like we're being scrubbed, just like the Chinese were in Tiananmen Square. They're harder and harder to find. They're just gone. The one in Philly was over 1 million square feet. Yeah, they said they were built in a few, some of them said they were built in a few weeks. Some of them, they said it took them less than 6 months. That's crazy. What is it that we don't know? I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I want y'all to think about this for the next few slides. The one on the right is Tesla. Tesla is, y'all know Nikola Tesla. Free energy, right? JP Morgan is his backer and Westinghouse, but they pulled the plug on him because he told them that he couldn't figure out how to and would not meter free electricity. He said, I'm not doing it. I don't think it's possible, but if it were possible, I'm not doing it. That's how the story goes. So they said, well, if we can't meter it, then we're pulling your financing. But how does that work? We have these guys, like everybody in here has their cell phones, and our cell phones are transmitting all this information. Like it would be witchcraft, right? If I'm video talking to Steve while he's driving home. Like people would think that was witchcraft just not too many years ago and take me and Steve out and burn us at the stake. Y'all have witchcraft devices. You know what I mean? That's crazy, right? Well, that's what that thing is, free energy. That is nuts. But that tower, that little bitty device up there sends out information in droves, movies, tags, video calls, everything that we know of. And we're going to get in. I just want y'all to remember that. I want you to remember these two slides in particular. Tuning forks. Kyle gave me a tuning fork, or let me use his tuning fork. It's one just like that. You set it on, I forget, I had my knee or something, I forget. But you tap it in the vibration, different tuning forks. Tuning forks go to the vibrations of different things. You got a headache, use the tuning fork for headaches. There's a lot of these things. These frequencies, medicine type things have been around forever. Here in the United States, we're just now starting to use sound to blow up cancer cells. But it works on the same principle as ding or dinging the sound bowls. Like it's the same principle. It's the same principle where Jill knows when I say, I love you, if I say it in a nice tone, she knows that, oh, that's so sweet. Or maybe if I'm irritated, maybe if she, told me to do the dishes and I didn't feel like it, like last night. Yeah, I love you. That's a different vibration tone. It resonates different, but it still resonates. So I want y'all, because I was just, this, tell me, are those not cell phone towers on top of every Christian church that's really big around the country? I don't know. Like, I really don't know. There are a lot of really serious people and serious scientists delving into some of these older churches that there are a lot of instances of the churches across Europe and North America. And the reason I find this interesting is that there was no way at different periods of history in Europe and in North America, if they weren't told a story instantly, like right then, like me calling Randall, if he's in Shreveport, hey dude, you got some burglars about to enter your backyard. Like Joe Blow just called me and now I know they're right there. They're on you right this second. Like there's similar type stories that happen quite a few times. And there's no other explanation for it. It's not like the Rothschilds knowing that the British won the war. They had fast couriers, and there was time. There were big time lamps. Like there were instant circumstances where they had to have instant communication. How they pull that off, I don't know. I just find it fascinating. And could those structures that are shaped very similar to cell towers have their own resonance, like a tuning fork? Could they be tuned the same way, with the same resonance and the same shape, just like a mosque would be? And there are high towers. They are similar to tuning forks. There are a lot of sound experts a lot. It's not a small number. It's a big number. Does it sound strange? I don't know. I don't know if it does or not. I don't know if it sounds strange or not, but a lot of these churches have them. Those are the Jewish synagogues that have the same thing. And what makes it really interesting is these really hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of year old churches have these massive organs in. How do they build organs like that? How do you build, like, Ryan, don't you do some type of engineering?
Logistics, but yeah.
How do you make such a perfectly done organ when all you have is a hammer and a couple of nothing? Like nothing. How do you do it all those years ago? Am I saying that is there something missing? I'm going to say, yeah, something is missing in our story, and I can't put my finger exactly on it. I don't understand. And if these big, huge organs that are super precise and take precise instrumentation to use, and they're connected to these big spires and big steeples, do they do something that we were not aware of? I don't know. But you know what I find fascinating is that World War I and World War II, the governments around the world started stealing bells. All the bells in these towers, these church towers, these mosque towers, these synagogue towers, there are littered across the world massive fields of bells that they stole from the churches and the religious places. Why? Why? It's kind of weird. Is it because the enemy's coming so you can easily tell the city? So that's one. Is it because it's a community? You know, like if me and Dean goes up to the bell tower and he rings it and it's time to eat, boys. You know, I mean, is that what it is? Or is it a resonance for a lot of different things? To heal us, maybe to bring us together, to let us all know, hey, we're all breathing the same air. Let's all get together. Because I know, I mean, I've been in the Middle East and I've heard the prayer chant go across. Man, it really stops everybody. Like, I'm not a big fan of their religion, but I do respect they stop and pray 5 times a day. I think it's remarkable. Like, that's fascinating to me. I don't know, people. I don't know. Something's missing. Something is missing. Lies we believe. I don't know. You know, there are a lot of cover-ups. There are a lot of atrocities. There's a lot of demonizing other cultures, demonizing races, false histories, ancient technologies. I don't know. I don't know. There's what's his name? Dunn, that wrote a phenomenal book on the pyramids in Giza, where it's really hard. He's a really high credentialed and really high experienced engineer, where he makes a really good and valid case that those were the pyramids in Giza are energy machines. And then when they recently came up with that LIDAR, and he claimed all these years ago that there are 4 big posts underneath there, and it's an energy machine, when they just discovered that's true. That's weird. Like, what do we not know about ourselves? Like, are we being dumbed down on purpose? Just like the Harvard study saying that fluoride in the water makes us all stupid. It makes us not question. Is that, like, are we being dumbed down on purpose? Is it just safe and effective and we just need to shut up? I don't know. I don't know. That's what I have you friends here for. Help guide me. I think that's why we got each other. Hang out and do our own sound bowls. They stole all of the bells, but we still got our court sound bowls down here. I think it's important. I think it's important that we stay together as a community, our own tribe. It's vital, no matter what it is. We're talking about this right before I all got here. Like, everybody needs a few groups of different interests. Like, you need a Sunday group. You need a spiritual group. You need just a group of buddies that support each other in whatever it is that you need support in. And to do fun stuff together, fellowship together, have fun. And if you get in a bind, you got a real group of friends you can contact. Like, if you get in a bind, you got somebody. You know you're not alone. And that's a big problem, because a lot of us self-isolate. And then we never come to the truth about anything. I don't know. We just need God. We need community. We need to know how to reach them. We need to pray. We need to meditate. We need to hug each other. Not any of that half-hug bullshit, one-arm crap. Like, we need real hugs. And we need love. All right, guys. That was it. Thanks for joining me.